We recently looked at the worst disaster in pigeon racing history. Thousands of birds vanished, and while the articles quite astutely speculated about geomagnetic storms due to solar activity, there were none. But the better explanation is another kind of geomagnetic storm being to blame. Earth's magnetic field is entering excursion, a short term reversal of the fields, and the animals have been acting strangely, or perhaps appropriately. Animals and plants use the field for a number of things: migration, reactions, get signals to perform cellular functions, and more. It was on the heels of the confirmation that whales are very susceptible to the geomagnetic field changes, and on the heels of the Pacific Field Shift Acceleration in 2017, that the unusual mortality and stranding event began in the Pacific, one that took place across both hot seas and cold La Nina waters, and which can only be blamed on a change in the magnetic field. We have seen a number of unusual animal migration events, especially with the birds, and perhaps the strangest of all is the elephants in China. But is it really that strange, or are they sort of prepping? Their 500-mile trek is taking them directly away from where the North and South magnetic poles are set to meet in the Northeast Indian Ocean. They are moving towards high ground and away from the coast. This is not unlike the relocation of many of you in these times, whether from the chaos of the cities or specifically with the magnetic excursion of Earth in mind. If animals are storing extra food, building nests and burrows slightly differently, or prepping in their own ways, how would we even notice? But what are you doing, those of you taking action? Are you relocating? Are you trying to build a like-minded community? Are you gathering supplies? For those who know the severity of what's coming, it helps to know what you can and cannot plan for. Some things are pretty obvious, like if you see the greatest of all electromagnetic blasts from the sun, do not then go and get on an airplane. If an impactor lands on your head, there isn't much you're going to be able to do. Same thing happens if mantle heaving or other processes send your land into the sea like Atlantis. Or if you happen to be in the unlucky fifth or so of the sun-facing side of the planet when that great solar flash occurs. It's not even worth thinking about those things. But what you should be planning for is a repeat of the alternation of polar and tropical fossils in the Arctic, the invasion of the land by the oceans, and the loss of most of the comforts and securities that allow our lives to play out as they do. First and foremost, you need to be prepared for the solar kill shot. This encompasses and exceeds storm readiness and earthquake readiness, and basically involves what is destined to happen someday, but is far more likely now while Earth's magnetic field is tanking in strength during the ongoing excursion. No stores, no ATMs, no gas station, no refrigeration, AC, heat, water from the tap, no phone. Just you and everyone else, hungry and thirsty, quickly learning to look for the loud generators of prepared people. Don't let that be you. The storm and earthquake preparedness principles are appropriate for the scenario but must be expanded to an extreme timeline. You need to have considerable food and water supplies as the power and most of civilization aren't coming back after the big one from the sun. You need to have seeds and pre-industrial tools to start again. Self-defense tools and those for shelter are needed, as well as clothes for various climates as those will continue to shift more extremely. Have a plan for bugging in and bugging out. Just know that your castle is the best place to defend if you can. In a big city, presume you can't. Don't be in shell shock when something happens. Do a practice run. The hail is going to continue to break records. This year it's already smashed through roofs numerous times. Simple underground options are good temporary shelters from cryometeors, as they don't penetrate far into the ground like a space meteor strike would. The lightning records will continue, and the metal, water, and crystal underground are going to react, along with the silica-rich magma as the global electric circuit and high-energy cosmic rays continue to push the ceiling of the charts. A good rule of thumb when it comes to saving something is, will you be able to use it 10 years after the disaster? Now, that's not to say that all electronics should be forgotten or you shouldn't try to save anything. Batteries, some small devices, they may be very valuable in the intermediate aftermath, at least for a while. You just have to remember that those things are temporary the moment we've gone back to nature. The biggest of solar events may overcome a Faraday cage protection anyway. You need to be putting much more effort towards something between Bronze Age and wagon time survival. Now, that was a lot of preparation points crammed into a word hurricane, but the flotation must be singled out. Honestly, if not for the invasion of the seas, this wouldn't be such a terrible situation. But this is the single, overarching aspect to the disaster as described by religions, mythology, tons of researchers over the last several decades to centuries, with nearly all of the list attributing the event to a turning over of the Earth. One name on that list is more important than the others, and that's Major White. Maynard E. White, commander of Project Nanook, discovered the magnetic pole, discovered its motion, and the cycles of disaster and great flooding, and tropical and polar fossils alternating in 12,000-year layers of sediment. The documents he took from the Pentagon meetings could only be shared after his passing by his son Ken White in the Great Book. Right now, let's go over the tilt supported by White, Einstein, Cuvier, Deluc, Velikovsky, many who aren't on this list, myself, and Chan Thomas's new pole positions, even if not his description of the wave. His wave from the west, which Vogt would support, is not going to give you alternating fossil layers and doesn't change the polar position or tilt the Earth. When Greenland does tilt to the equator, bringing the new equator to right about here, on the other side of the world it will be East Antarctica tilting up to the equator, putting that right about here. Now here is something critical to understand about these processes. They have an axis. It controls which waves go which ways in the turning, and the best way to look at this is with a rectangular projection of the Earth. You get the weird size projection effects at the poles, but the tilting allows you to see how some go down and the other side of the world goes up. This is the image from the community post this last week with the new equator after the tilt. And now a key thing to notice is where it intersects the old equator, the wave line. These points are the axis of the turn. They don't change latitude, they simply rotate, turning 90 degrees. And those points can be found here, with the rotation of tilt shown by the arrows. If you wrap this rectangle back around a sphere, you would find those circles with arrows on exact opposite sides of the world. And this is how we can look around today and know where the initial tidal surge will be and where the sloshback tsunamis will be as well. In general, in the central Atlantic, water will seem to push north as the crust is tilting south into it, while the waters will seem to be heading south at first on the other side of the world as the land is tracking and pushing into it. The worst part is the initial surge against inertia, but after the tilting stops, the exact opposite direction sloshback will occur. So here, I've got blue arrows for the initial tidal surge of the tilt, northward in the western world and southward in the east, and the red arrows show the places where the sloshback tsunamis could be very bad for populated areas. Maybe those elephants know more than we think, especially since they would be fleeing not only the sloshback of the Indian Ocean, but the new freezing pole position near the Bay of Bengal and Sumatra. Are the animals prepping? Are you? I'll see you in the morning. Be safe, everyone.